It is 11:15 on Sunday night. I'm just back now from San Diego. What better place than here? What better time than now than to rate some players? Let's do it. Hit the intro. And of course, I cannot start this off without thanking Pat Connolly Tavern enough for helping me get to San Diego for this one. And Pat Connolly Tavern, if you want to return the favor, stop by there, tell them I sent you. They're located at the corner of Oakland and Tam in beautiful Dogtown. They're a St. Louis institution since 1942. A great place to catch a game, or just a great place to grab a bite to eat if you're going to the zoo or Forest Park. All right, so I've had a chance to rewatch the game. I rewatched it in the San Diego airport Sunday morning. And if you were in San Diego and I bumped into you, man, we had so much fun this past weekend. I'm looking forward to getting that vlog out to you from the game, and it's gonna be just a couple of days before I can do that, just simply because I recorded a lot of footage. This could be a kind of a long vlog here, and I was able to get some of it put together, but not much, just because traveling, it's not the best place to edit a vlog. Also, I'm having fun in San Diego. You know, you go on these trips to have fun after all. So just bear with me on the vlog. Hopefully out Tuesday or Wednesday, no later than Wednesday. I'm thinking more likely Tuesday, but just bear with me a little bit on that one. But as for these player rankings, I can do those right here, right now, because I did rewatch the game from San Diego Airport Sunday morning. I got there a little early so I can I'm paranoid about air travel. I like to get to airports early, but I had some time to actually sit down and watch the game and take some notes. There were some players who I felt were validated in the rewatch from my impressions at the stadium. Of course, when I'm at the stadium, I'm having fun, so I'm not like fully zoomed in on the game. That's why I rewatch, so I can, kind of fill in some blanks. But I think some players got redeemed a little bit in the rewatch. Others got kind of buried in the rewatch here. So let's go ahead and get right to our tier maker. Okay, we're going to start right in net as we do in these player rankings here with Roman Berkey. And I thought Roman Berkey had an excellent game. And he wasn't tested too much, which is why I'm not going to put him in smash for this one, but I thought he was the stabilizing force on the back line. Of course, he's the captain. He had to make stops when he had to. He did a really good job in the second half, diving for that ball that kind of caromed off of the wall and looked like I was going to land in a dangerous spot. Berkey went up there like Superman, literally with his fist out, like he was flying in the air with the greatest of ease. And he did what he had to do. I thought that he was very assertive throughout the game. I thought that he weathered the storm pretty well. And unlike the Colorado game, he did have an active night, and he proved why we like him so much. So nothing super heroic from Berkey, which is again why I'm not putting him in Smash, but he had a very good game. So I'm going to put him in the good tier for now. Next one up is Conrad Vollum. And Conrad Vollum was one of those players when I was there Saturday that really jumped out to me just because he was hustling, 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 hustling. The guy has an engine to him, which I saw in the Slavia Prague tape that I saw of him, but seeing it in person, like this guy could be, someone that becomes a fan favorite in St. Louis. Now he does have the loan to buy, so just be a little careful about throwing all your cards behind Conrad Vollum. But I was very encouraged with how he did on Saturday. He had a really good move in the first half when St. Louis had one of the few times they were deep in San Diego territory. He was in the corner. He shook his defender. He's really good at one-on-ones, and he got a chance to show that off finally. But most of his work was on defense. Partly because on attack, when St. Louis did attack, they were more central or right, and they didn't really go up the left very often, which I feel is kind of a mistake, just because Vollum's such a good progressor of the ball, just even at his own feet. But he had the most part, he had to do defensive work, and he proved he could do it. I thought he looked strong on the back end. I thought he had a few blocks that were pretty key. And for what he was tasked for, I'm going to say that Conrad Vollum was also good. I thought he was good. I would have liked to have seen more from him on offense, but that just was not going to be in the cards Saturday night for many reasons. Tactics and, well, really just tactics for the most part. I mean, but then you have, focusing the play on the other side of the field and just not being able to get the ball up. So, I can't wait for when St. Louis finally breaks out and Conrad Vollum can show us what he can do. Giannis Horn is next, and this is one that looked really, really strong on the rewatch. When I was at the game, he was part of the good defense that we had, and I mean, I wouldn't have singled him out personally just from watching at the game. But again, like I said, I go there to have fun, so I don't like really zoom in on players too often. But Giannis Horn on the rewatch looked very strong, and I got a tip from Matt Baker on this. I had a chance. I bumped into Matt after the game, and he kind of tipped off that Giannis Horn had a very understated, strong performance, and I had to watch this for myself. So on the rewatch, I did kind of focus in on Giannis a little bit, and Matt was right, as he often is, to be fair. I thought Giannis had some good headers. His positioning was strong. Um, and he did have that awful back pass in the first half that ended up rolling out for a corner kick. It just completely eluded Berkey. But like that's like the one slight blemish that he had. I think he made up for it just because he was part of the good link up with Henry Kessler, who we'll talk about again here in a bit, and just very strong. And what really set Giannis apart was when Chucky Lozano went down. A lot of San Diego's focus shifted over to Dreyer's side, and so that would be Giannis Horn's side. And Giannis did well. He did very well. Dreyer didn't have a whole lot to work with, and to be fair, Giannis Horn is a part of this defense that is working, and I am actually going to give Giannis Horn a smash. I thought that Giannis Horn, if you rewatch the match, he was strong. He was very, very strong, and he deserves a smash. You know who else deserves a smash? I'm just going to put him right up there right now. Henry frickin' Kessler. This guy with another man of the match performance. I'm just going to give it to him right now. I spoiled it. I was going to tease it for the end. I don't think there's really much doubt. Henry Kessler, what more can you say about him? Anchoring the center defense, playing that central position again, because Timo Baumgartel was, feeling a little sick, or he had a illness. But Kessler, when you needed a St. Louis player to get ahead on the ball, he was there. Clearances, he was there. Anchoring the defense, he was there. Sideline to sideline, he was there. He did have to carry Kyle Hiebert's water a little bit in the as the game was kind of beginning, but he was up to it. We'll talk about Hiebert in a little bit, but I think Kessler basically had a carbon copy of the Colorado game. He was Mr. Everything as a central defender. Horn gave him good support, though, throughout the game as well. But absolutely smash Henry Kessler. King Kessler is also the man of the match. I'm not taking any discussion on that. You can leave comments in the comment section below about my rankings, because I think we're going to get some interesting reactions coming up here in a little bit. But King Kessler, I'm not taking discussion on. He is the man in the match, period. Kyle Hiebert. So this was very interesting on the rewatch. Hiebert, they were really focusing on him early on. I mean, partly because it was Chucky Lozano's side of the field. Chucky was playing left wing, and of course, he'd be working up against Kyle Hiebert more often than not. And so it wasn't really like they were targeting him per se. It was just, hey, get it to Chucky. But I think that after Lozano pulled up with when his hammy went, it took a bit of pressure off of Hiebert, because I thought for the first 20, 25 minutes, Hiebert was a little he was chasing it a bit. He was chasing it a bit. His positioning wasn't sturdy. I mean, he didn't have any real catastrophes, but he looked a little shaky starting out. But as the game went on, and I think when Lozano went out, that kind of bailed him out a little bit. I thought Hebert really did settle down. John Love, I saw you in the Soccer Zombie Discord. Feel free to drop your comments in the Soccer Zombie Discord, by the way, after each game about where you think these players should be ranked. Love your discussions. Love to hear from you. But John Love did note that Hebert did settle down and we had a fine game for the most part. So I thought because of his early shaky start at first, maybe making him a meh, but really on the whole body of work, Hebert was fine. I think you can put him in the good category because he's a part of this defense that is working under Olaf Melberg. Thomas Totland. So I raved about him in the Colorado game, and a few of you kind of called me out on that, noting that his passing wasn't the most accurate. And so against San Diego, his passing wasn't the most accurate. He was barely above 50% on passes completed, I believe. What did not have he just didn't have a great night, in my opinion. Something Matt Baker disagreed on. He thought Totland had a strong game. He was fine defensively. He was fine defensively. He didn't make any blunders defensively. But Totland, based off that first game, he's someone that you rely on to progress the ball up the field, and I didn't see much from him on the offensive side, which is, where his strength is. So I really, and nothing else really jumped out to me about him. I mean, besides playing fine defensively. So I'm going to maybe controversially a little bit give Totland a meh, just because again, he's someone that you rely on for offense and to, carry the ball up the field, and it just wasn't happening. Now, it could be tactics, maybe, I it really did feel like, based on the heat map of just the game in general, that, we were playing on our heels, for the most part. But it kind of does beg the question, why did Totland play the full 90 when you could have had Joey Zielinski out there? Now, Olaf held Zielinski back because he wanted him to get some time in this scrimmage that was taking place, which is fine. But this would have been a good game to give Totland a breath on, because we need to preserve Totland for the whole season. And Totland's more of a forward-thinking wingback, instead of a backward-thinking wingback. So I just think that maybe this would have been one where Totland could have used an early breather, but he did fine. He did fine. It just on defense anyway. He wasn't generating anything on offense, and that's kind of his thing. All righty, next one up here. Actually, I'm gonna kind of put them together on this one here. Akil Watts and Edouard Leuven, your first two bad rankings of the player ratings on the Soccer Zombie channel. First with Watts. I just thought he had a bad game. His passing was sloppy. He got beat quite a few times in transition. Like, San Diego just had absolutely no qualms at all about operating in our midfield, and Watts was part of the problem. I just and then on rewatch, it kind of was the same thing. Like, he was chasing a lot. He just wasn't good. I don't know how else I can say it. He just wasn't good. Edouard Leuven, as John Love pointed out in the Discord, the whole midfield was bad. He was part of it. When St. Louis needed to find an answer on offense, that has to start with Leuven, because Leuven is the metronome. He is the transition midfielder that is supposed to get the ball out from the back and progress it forward to your Marcel Hartels and your Simon Betchers and your Cedric Teucherts, and it just was not happening. And when I watched Leuven live, like, again, I didn't really zero in on too many players, but Leuven kind of stood out to me like a sore thumb. He looked lost at times, and he was also part of the problem that St. Louis had in that when they did have possession and they only had about 30% possession the whole game, it wasn't quality possession. It was a lot of, and Taylor Twellman pointed this out, a lot of flicks and tricks. And we're not at that point where we can be cute because it's clear that we're building a foundation from the back and then we're working on the offense. Like, something needs to really be addressed with this offense, and Olaf needs to get this offense going because we can't keep having these 0-0 draws or 1-0 games. It feels like this season so far, St. Louis is being set up to be just a park the bus club, feels like. And it's unfortunate. And again, part of it was San Diego, just because San Diego, we wanted to weather the storm. They had a lot of energy, hyped crowd, first home match, coming off a big win again, 2-0 against Galaxy. But I'm really concerned about this offense, and the midfield is a part of that. Another one that I think is part of that a little bit to a degree, Marcel Hartl. Marcel Hartl wasn't bad. And I think he was definitely out there working hard, and trying to generate some offense, but he was part of the flicks or tricks problem that, St. Louis had. And we just needed to actually hold on to the ball a little bit because it just felt like San Diego was under siege with us. But it did feel that Marcel was one of the few players out there that actually did have some decent ideas at times. But just kind of an underwhelming performance overall. And I think of the starting 11 of all the non-defenders or wingbacks that started, or, Berkey himself, Hartl was probably the best. So I'll give him a meh. But the whole club just had an issue generating offense Saturday night, and Marcel Hartl didn't really have any answers to that, unfortunately. But it wasn't for a lack of effort. It's just bad night at the office. Cedric Teuscher was completely invisible. He was absolutely invisible. Only played the first half. I think he's getting back up to speed for one, but also he was playing as a left striker. He had the same problem that Joao Klaus had last week, and that is, a lot of the play just didn't really go his way very much. He only, I think FOBMOB only had him down for like 2 touches total. So yeah, he was just completely invisible and was not a difference maker. Taylor Twellman had a good point that he was playing too similar to Simon Betcher, making a lot of the same runs. Now, Jeremy Clements on the Soccer Zombie Discord, he thinks that Teuscher was just a victim of tactics. So maybe I'm gonna rate him too hardly here, but I thought Seti was bad. He was not a difference maker like he can be. Like, we know that he can be. This isn't a knock on his ability. This is a knock on just he's part of the whole problem. Basically, he's part of the whole problem that St. Louis had Saturday night in generating offense. Another person that was a part of the problem on Saturday was Simon Betcher. And I'm putting him right in bad because Simon Betcher, I thought I liked him apparently better than a lot of people did on against Colorado. I thought Betcher had a fantastic game. He was creating chances. His head was in it. He had the fun stare down with Zach Steffen. But that Simon Betcher was not there Saturday in San Diego. He was just there. He was just there. And as Twellman said, he was playing very similar to Seti. And again, because we were playing more right than left, I think Betcher had more to do. And the thing is, I think Betcher got exposed a little bit. He's a tip of the spear. He is not a Joao Klaus, setup type. Betcher is kind of a poacher. That's kind of what he is when he's not, pressing and trying to stir things up. He's just kind of, on offense, he's just kind of a poacher. So again, Betcher, part of the problem Saturday night, and he had a bad game, just like a lot of players did. So substitutions now, the first one that came on was Chris Durkin. He lives after all, and his knee's apparently okay. He came on for Seti Toyshirt in the half. He played the 10. Marcel Hartle kind of slid up a little bit. I appreciated the effort that Durkin put in, and he was noticeable from the stands Saturday night at Snapdragon. But God, Chris Durkin is just such a foul merchant. Like so many possessions, when we would lose possession, Durkin would foul someone trying to get the ball back. He had ended up getting a yellow card. Um, I liked what he was doing pressing, but the fouls were just dragging him down. And I think Chris Durkin can be a very loud meh. Like it was good in what he did, but there was bad here as well. And it was a mixed bag for Chris Durkin to the point where eventually you just had to meet in the middle in meh. Joao Klaus. So I thought Joao Klaus brought a little something in the second half that St. Louis was lacking. He brought a new energy. He was pressing. He looked like his positioning was on point. I really liked what I saw just overall from Joao Klaus. Looked active. He did fluff the one chance that he had, though. It was kind of on a volley, and he kind of scuffed it a little bit. But I think we learned Saturday that if Olaf is insisting on two strikers, Toyshirt and Betcher is not the combo. It's just not. No, it's not. They were bad together. So we kind of learned Saturday that maybe Joao Klaus is necessary after all, if Olaf is insisting on playing two strikers. Klaus looked better than the starters, I thought. But the thing is, he was only out there for about a half hour. And like I said, he fluffed his one chance. And it's not really his fault that I'm putting him in meh. It's a meh, I think, for Joao Klaus. If he had, if he came on at the half instead of Durkin, and showed what he was doing, like there's a good argument that Klaus could have been even good, just if he had more time to work out there. But we just didn't generate any offense, and it wasn't Klaus's fault, but it just overall meh. But it's a good meh. I mean, Durkin was kind of a loud meh. Klaus was a yeah, fine. That's the kind of meh I'm talking about. It's not a bad meh. This one, however, is going to be a bad meh, and that is Alfredo Morales. On the rewatch, he just didn't stand out to me. He was invisible. Meh. That's all I can say about Alfredo Morales. He just didn't do anything he didn't do anything shocking. He didn't do anything great. He just was there. He was there. Next one up, Josh Yaro. Again, he didn't really have a whole lot of time to work with, so I'm gonna put him in meh as well. He only was out there for 15 minutes. He did his job, but nothing stood out either way. He didn't have a catastrophe. He didn't excel. He was fine. Meh. And then finally, Celio. I almost want to put Celio in Smash because I'm so happy that Celio's back, and I'm so happy that Celio got healed up, and he's now playing in MLS again, playing minutes for MLS again. It was a very much a cup of coffee here. So he didn't have a whole lot of time to impress, and under that circumstance, I should put him at meh. But you know what? It's my party, and I will make him good if I want to. I'm so happy Celio's back. It's good that he's back from his catastrophic injury. I didn't think I'd see him this early. March 1st, Celio's back. And you know what? That's a good thing. So I'm putting him in good. Flame away in the comments, but I'm just saying. I'm a Celio stan. Finally, Olaf Melberg. So I think what Olaf is trying to roll out is being received by the club, playing disciplined defense, responsible defense, and we were strong. We had to weather a storm from San Diego, and we weathered it. It did feel like in the second half that San Diego might break through at some point, but they didn't. They didn't because we stood tall on defense. We played very well. And that's the foundation that Olaf, a former, all-world central defender, wants to bring to St. Louis. So it's working. That's working. But at what point do we start asking serious questions about what to do on offense? There's just way too much talent, offensive talent on this club to be just completely void like we were on Saturday. Again, it could be partly just tactics, but it's starting to become a little concerning. I know it's only game 2. And look, I will happily admit I was wrong if we come out against Galaxy and drop 4 on them or something like that. Or if we come back the host Seattle on March 15th and we win and we drop a 3 bucket on them. I'll admit I'm wrong, and I'll be happy to be wrong because that means we're doing something on offense, but I just haven't seen it yet. But it's a point on the road in a hostile environment. Literally, if you heard those chants. I'll have more on that in the vlog coming up. I have thoughts on that. But anyway, long story short, St. Louis had to play a high energy club in their big spotlight moment, and St. Louis did the job of holding them at bay. And it was a park the bus performance. Um, it's hard to be too critical on Olaf here because I think it's a good thing that he's building out from defense and getting the defense down first. It's easier to build off of that than having to, constantly play 4-3, shootouts where, randomness can happen. And Olaf wants to control the narrative. And so he did. So, you know what? I can't fault him for that. I'm going to give him a good. I'm going to give Olaf a good on that because I think his defensive plan is working. It's just now we need to start thinking about the offense a little bit, but San Diego was not the best environment for that for St. Louis. To be fair, San Diego, by the way, they are also like St. Louis. They have not allowed their other team to score this season. So props, San Diego. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Was I too harsh on Watson, Lubin, or the strikers, Seti and Betcher? Do you think that there's really, what I said I'm not going to take any arguments on Henry Kessler being man of the match, and I'm not. Was there someone else that you thought I maybe underrated a little bit? Was I too kind to Giannis Horn? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, I want to thank all my Zombie Ultras who helped me get to these games like this as well. All 11 of you, now that I can properly count. Thank you so much. And of course, the original supporter section as well, the 99 Cent Club. Thank you so much for that. This is your soccer zombie, Tom Franklin here. And again, the vlog from San Diego will be out hopefully in a couple of days. It's in progress. It's just going to take a little bit of time to put everything together in a nice little package for you, but it's going to be a good one. I talked to some San Diego supporters that had some really good stories to share. So I'm really looking forward to you seeing that. But in the meantime, to whet your appetite, why don't we go to the last vlog that I did for St. Louis City, the Barbecue Delight against our foes from Kansas. That was a good one. That was part of the Missouri doubleheader last year. And you can check that out and see what that's about right there.